Okay, hello everybody. How you guys doing? My name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you all for joining, whoever's out there. So, today we are talking about toxic masculinity. In particular, well, first off, this is going to be sort of like a new little series that I'm going to do called Liars, Criminals, and Grifters, where we will examine mostly right wing, but I'm leaving it open for grifters and liars and criminals of all political persuasions who may eventually feature on this little show. Today we're going to be talking about two people in particular. So, first half, there's a George Santos. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a Republican from New York who was just recently elected in the midterms last November. And seems like George Santos has lied about every single thing he's ever said and done. So we'll be talking about him for a bit. And then the second half, we're going to talk about Andrew Tate because, we have to. Because it's hilarious and it's funny as hell. And I've been wanting to make a video about Andrew Tate because he's sort of like the most toxic person ever that you could ever think of. Andrew Tate, he's like the biggest piece of shit. Just, worst personality that I could ever, I don't know. Guy's a major fucking chode, so we'll be talking about him. But before we do that, let's take a look at what we're working on. So, I didn't like the background there. I removed it. For those of you who are been watching from last week and prior streams, I had this sort of background to this, and it looked awful. So, what we did is that let's see, where's my other one? I drew this and scanned it in, and we're just going to take this, move it over here, delete that, resize this guy because our old background looked like ass. And let's move it a little right around. We may need to make this a little bit smaller in order to get that to... let's see here. We might need to do a little bit of finagling to make this look right. Because what I want is just to have a hint of this in the back. Well, I don't know. Should you be able to see the full fireplace? Nah. What do you think? Would it be better if we just had the fireplace like right there? Yeah, I think so. I think we want to have the fireplace there, right? So what we're going to do, we have this little crystal guy. Let's just cut that out. So we'll do a little bit of finagling here while we talk. But besides that, let's jump right into it. So first off, George Santos. Who is this guy? Why should we care? Well, I think he's a pretty good example of the difference between not just not talking about the political parties, the Republicans and Democrats, but talking about the actual constituents, the voters, right? Because people often talk about, well, there's no difference between the political parties. There's no difference between Republicans and Democrats. They're all thieves. They're all crooks. They're all liars, right? Yeah, maybe. I think there is a major difference when it comes to, however, the actual voters, the actual constituents, right? That does look a little busy. I just want a hint of it. I don't want to show the full, like that. Just a hint of the fireplace there. I don't want the whole thing to just be like, because if we just put it like this, it's like behind her, then you can't see it at all. But it makes it a little busy to have all this shit here. You know what I mean? The composition looks a little shitty when we do it like that, but maybe we'll just sort of just have this sort of chilling back here. Yeah, like that. That makes it look a little bit better. Actually, a little smaller, don't you think? Like there. Yeah, because, I mean, the focus is on the figure, so this is just background stuff. It looks good enough. We'll figure it out. Merge that down. Okay. We'll figure it out. So, anyway, but who is this guy? Well, he is a newly elected congressman for New York, George Santos, and he is a liar. Liar of the highest order. Um, just seemingly lied about every single thing, about his resume, about his business, about his ethnicity, right? Like, just a list. Let's just go quickly through the list of lies that George Santos has told. Oh, wait a minute. Where the hell is my stylus? Shit. There it is. Found it. Okay. So he claims he lied about his education. Claims that he went to like this prestigious college. The guy didn't actually go to college, which is nothing wrong with not going to college, but you don't want to lie about it. I mean, imagine that if you're a politician running for office, that's like a job interview, right? You wouldn't want to lie about your education during your job interview. You may bend the interpretation of it slightly to make it sound better than it actually is, but you wouldn't straight up lie and say you went to Harvard or some shit when you didn't. Obviously, that's no bueno, right? Thank you guys for joining. Whoever just joined, appreciate you. Claimed about his ancestry, claimed that he was Jewish when he is not Jewish. His family is from Brazil and they're Catholics. Right? So not Jewish at all, which is funny. Claimed that his mother died in 9/11. She died instead in 2016, which last time I checked was not 2001. He did this on a Facebook post, where he was arguing with somebody and then claimed that his mother died during 9/11, that it personally affected him, all this other shit, blah, 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 blah. Turned out that was complete bullshit, a total lie. Um, Claimed that his family was from Ukraine, right? So there you go. And if you look at all of these claims that this guy George Santos is doing, it seemed like these were all lies that were tailor made to basically win him the election. Ukraine is a hot thing now, right? Um, New York liberals are in support of the war in Ukraine, as so am I. And he saw that that was something that his people wanted, so he said his family was from Ukraine when they're not. They're actually from Brazil, right? The constituency that were voting in his district were lots of Jewish people, so he claimed to be of Jewish ancestry when he isn't, right? So that's basically what he's doing. He just basically said whatever he had to say in order to get elected in his district there. He lied about his business, of course, claimed that he had this company and with employees that supposedly his employees, four of them died during the Pulse nightclub shooting for his company. Turns out his company didn't really exist, and he didn't have any employees who died during the Pulse nightclub shooting. If you guys remember that, that was basically another shooting where insane person went in and I think killed something like 50 people. Let's look that up real fast just so we can say it. That was another, like, a guy went into a gay nightclub and Pulse nightclub shooting. That's the thing. There's so many shootings that these things they run into each other, don't they? Orlando nightclub shooting. And that's what it was. In 2016, a guy went in, killed 49 people, wounded 53 more in a mass shooting in a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. He claimed that four of his employees for his company that doesn't exist were killed during that nightclub shooting, and of course they weren't. That was because his district had very favorable views of gay people, so he had to claim also that he was gay, in addition to having four employees who didn't exist, who didn't get killed in a nightclub shooting. He also claimed that he was also gay, and in real life, he may still be gay, but he was married to a woman 2 weeks before the election. So that's a blatant fucking thing, just straight up lie right there. I mean, unless he managed to come out of the closet in the last 2 weeks before the election, which is highly unlikely. He had this animal rescue charity that he claimed that he ran or whatever. Turned out, no, he didn't really run it, and it really wasn't much of a charity. It was basically another lie. Claimed that he worked at Goldman Sachs, which is not true at all. In real life, the guy didn't work at Goldman Sachs. He was like basically a wage slave minimum wager before he ran for office. Apparently, like he would do stuff like remote customer service, that kind of thing, which is not a bad job, and I'm not disparaging anybody who does that. My wife used to do that, but that's a far, far away from working as a lawyer and a financier at Goldman Sachs. Like, why would this guy claim to work at fucking Goldman Sachs? That doesn't make any sense. It's like Goldman Sachs are like the villains and shit. Like, everybody fucking hates Goldman Sachs, right? Goldman Sachs is one of the companies that, like, through their like manipulation um, of derivatives and credit default swaps and stuff like that, like, are partially responsible for the 2008 financial crisis. Like, why would you want that? Why would you advertise that on your resume? Well, it just so happens that the district that he was running for has a lot of these people that, work in the finance industry. That's why. So he just decided, well, I'm one of you guys. And just straight up made up a bullshit lie about it. And the thing about it, it's like, I mean, does this guy think that anybody was, like, no one was ever going to check up on these things? Like, I guess not, right? He claimed that he was biracial, both Caucasian, half black and half white, Caucasian. He did this in a Facebook post because what happened was that he shared a meme of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama as monkeys. So, because he's a racist piece of shit. And when somebody called him out on it, he said, well, I can't be racist because I'm actually biracial. And it's like, okay, just straight up blatant fucking lie. If you look at the picture of the guy, he does not look biracial at all. Straight up lie. Just lied about it, because in order to, like, keep himself from being canceled or whatever, there you go. So, racist to boot. Liar and a racist, I guess. Um, and the guy is now currently under investigation because, as I said before, he was not rich, did not really run a company so much. But now suddenly he has this company called the DeVolder Organization, right? Which is his mother's maiden name, DeVolder. And he's in some hot water because he loaned his campaign $700,000, right? Which is, that is not against the law. If you have $700,000, you are allowed to loan it to your campaign. And here's how it works: you cannot just give the money, right? It has to be a loan, and the campaign has to pay you back, right? And that's how they sort of get around campaign finance laws, because there's laws against, like, giving more than, I think it's somewhere in the area of like 13,000 per person per individual, and then like 50,000 an organization. It's something like that. I could be wrong on those exact numbers, but it's not, it's a lot of money. It's a shitload of money for normal people, but when you're like, the whole point of it is just, it's supposed to keep, like, millionaires and billionaires from just straight up, like, funding their pet politicians, right? If they're only allowed to give a certain amount. Turns out his company, his organization, the DeVolder organization, gave $700,000, right? And now they're asking, he donated that money himself. Like he basically made a loan to his own campaign from his supposed company, which leading up to his run, his campaign, his run, for Senate, or sorry, he's a House rep. Sorry, his run for the House. Not only was this guy broke, but he was also like evicted several times, right? He was like I said, working as like a customer service rep, shit like that. He wasn't a rich and powerful power broker or financier or banker or CEO or anything like that. So where the hell did this money come from? And it turns out the Devaldo organization, so far, they've only been able to find 4 actual clients of his organization. They don't know what they do. Like, what's the purpose of your company? The Devaldo organization, what do they do? Are they lawyers? Are they what? Is it an interior decorating studio? Like, what do they do? What's the business model? Nobody knows, right? And there doesn't seem to be any proof of the DeVolder organization existing prior to the campaign that I could see. I mean, I could be wrong about that. Allegedly. This is all allegedly, right? But there doesn't seem to be any like records of this company that he runs, right? There's no proof. There's no like records of what they do, what kind of business it is, and the only clients that have been found for it all have connections to right-wing mega donors, right? There's one from the New York-based Tantil Auto Group, right? Who are Republican mega donors there. 2 groups tied to the Ruiz family in Florida, and then one tied to an insurance magnate named James Metzger. And so it kind of looks like the Devalder organization, which is the company that this guy runs, the George Santos, kind of sounds like it's a shell corporation. And what that is because since there's limits to how much an individual or a even like a corporation can give in New York, right? Then what you do is you set up a shell corporation, and then they take the money, and then then you claim it's like a way of getting around that. Excuse me, right? So sorry, sneezing and shit. So it kind of looks like this guy set up this shell corporation in order to skirt campaign finance law, right? So where'd the money come from? Because now legally it's like his campaign has to pay that money back to him because you're not allowed to just give $700,000 like that. So it's sort of like money laundering, maybe. Obviously it's campaign. There's some campaign finance screwery, like fuckery going on, but yeah, that sounds a little illegal. So now this guy is under investigation for that, right? And there's been calls from Democrats and consumer finance groups and watchdog groups, stuff like that, of people to not seat him when the Congress comes around. And so far, Kevin McCarthy is just pretending this guy doesn't exist. Is he not going to seat him? Is he going to do anything about it? Is there going to be any sort of ethics investigations into the obvious lies of George Santos and possible criminal activity? According to Kevin McCarthy, who is gunning for Speaker of the House, no, there will not be. Because the Republicans only have a 9-seat majority in the House right now. And if they force this guy out, that makes their majority even smaller. And Kevin McCarthy is having trouble even like getting elected speaker in the first place because the Republicans are divided. How awesome would that be? By the way, if he ends up not being Speaker of the House because he can't get the votes, and like Nancy Pelosi continues on as Speaker of the House. Like, how awesome would that be? That would just be the best thing ever. Anyway, right? So yeah, so they're not going to do anything that will rock the boat there. And this guy George Santos has already said that he's not stepping down. You're going to have to force him out. So now we have this blatant lying con artist who's going to be part of the United States Congress. He's going to be a House rep. He's going to be voting on laws. He's going to be proposing laws and influencing people and wheeling dealing behind the scenes. And let's be frank, let's be honest, ripping us all the hell off. Because it's the only reason why somebody like this would become a congressman in the first place, is to personally enrich themselves. And here's the thing about this, right? This is the second time this guy's run. You know, he ran before and told all these same lies, and he lost, so nobody cared. And it would have been nice, don't you think? Because this all came out from there was a couple of investigative pieces on this, right? Why didn't they publish all this shit before the election? That would have been nice to know, don't you think? If you were a voter in this guy's district, excuse me, wouldn't you like to know the person that you're voting for is a fucking total con artist, scam artist, piece of shit that's just lied about everything, you know, and is a possible fucking like money laundering like thief? I mean, seriously, like all of this shit, you know. And here's the thing, right? You expect politicians to lie, okay? Because that's part of the game. You know, it's a dirty game, but it's the only game the man left us to play, right? Well, you know, you're a politician, but usually, you know, when politicians lie, it's the kind of lies where they can say, well, you know, what I really meant was this, you know. I didn't say blah blah blah, I didn't inhale, whatever. You know what I mean? It's usually just sort of those whatever rhetorical tricks so that they can sound cool and get away with it. And most of the time, you know, you can sort of hand wave that away. Like, and most of the time it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, he lied about this, whatever. Right. But it kind of hits that point like this when you're not just lying about your background and your ethnicity and your sexual orientation and your, you know, the death of your mother and your employees, and like is there anything this guy's telling the truth about? Right? Like, that's what it kind of comes down to. It's like, and here's the thing about it. It's like, do you want somebody like this making your laws? Do you want somebody like this to have power? Because it never ends well when people like this have power, right? We saw, you know, I mean, because we just went through 4 years of the biggest fucking liar of all time as president, and we saw how that ended, right? Because, you know, usually people who blatantly lie, who lie like it's nothing, and it just comes natural to them like that, usually the proclivity to not tell the truth is not their worst character trait, right? Guarantee you this dude Santos is going to have some kind of major ethics scandal. This is my prediction, okay? I'm going to put on my you know, my fucking prediction turban here, right? And I'm going to read the future. I'm going to tell the future. And this is what the future says to me. It says to me that before George Santos leaves office, he will be involved in some kind of major ethics scandal, right? And it's going to involve a shitload of money. Because, you know, that's the reason why he became a congressman. That's why he's in the House. It's not to help us. It's not to help any of the people. It's not to serve the country. It's not to serve his constituents. He could give a fuck about the constituents. If he cared about the people who voted for him, he wouldn't have lied, right? He would have told the truth. He doesn't give a fuck about them, right? He's there to enrich himself. He's there to make money. That's what this guy's there for. And when you have people like that in government with the levers of power at their command, it doesn't end well for the rest of us. So just watch what happens. And you know what? He's probably going to get away with it. You know why? Because he's a Republican. He's a Republican, and Republicans always get away with it. The laws never apply to them, right? He would have to be caught like with a gay sex tape. Then something would happen. Then it's like, if he does something that Republicans don't like, you know, right? If he got caught with a gay sex tape or something like that. I mean, has the thing about being, when you're a Republican, you can cheat on your wife, with a porn star, get away with it. You can break pretty much every law there is, get away with it when you're a Republican, right? You can try to orchestrate a coup and take over the United States and get a mob of people to come and break into the Capitol and murder a police officer. You can do that and get away with it. But if you get caught having some gay sex, then they kick you out. That's what happens when you're a Republican. That's where the line is. The line is, oh, can't be gay. That's the line. You know, every other like law and norm and you know, everything else up to and including like fucking taking over the fucking country is totally fine. But being true about who you really are is a big no-no. Because that's the state of the Republican Party in this country, folks. So, anyway, sorry if you live in New York, but maybe you might want to get ready and, recall this fucking guy or something. There's got to be a way in New York to, like, recall people. I don't know. So that's George Santos. That's part one. Now I want to bring us to our main attraction, who is Andrew Tate. Gonna talk about Andrew Tate. Who the fuck is Andrew Tate, right? Because, I never really heard about this guy until about maybe around April of this year when I think it was April. It was when I first heard of Andrew Tate was when Hassan Piker like did an interview with him and just completely fucking trounced his ass. Right? Like completely trounced him, just monkeyed all over him and made him look like a total fucking chode. Like that's when I first heard of Andrew Tate. So who the hell is this guy? What are we talking about? Andrew Tate is a right-wing influencer. He is one of those manosphere assholes. Right? Basically, let's see, how does that look? Yeah, it looks alright. I guess we gotta do the rest of these bricks and shit here. Too bad. I guess I could have measured this all out first. That doesn't look too busy. It might be a little busy, but you know what? When we color it, we'll just sort of like make the background a little more muted, and then maybe it won't look so busy. I don't know. We'll figure it out. This is a work in progress, folks. This is like I'm doing a lot of experimental shit with this that I would never do in real life, or in other pieces. So anyway. So Andrew Tate's one of those sort of, manosphere kind of like red pillar, like douchebags, who basically, the manosphere, what it really is all about, they say it's about men's rights and all this other crap. And what it really is just like a group of right-wing influencers that are exploiting men in order to make money and get rich. Andrew Tate has made no secret of the fact that that's what he does. He exploits people. He exploits women and men, right? So the way he got famous was that he was a kickboxer, right? And then he sort of parlayed that into a right-wing influencer career. So first, what's the big? Let's talk about why he's in the news again, right? Because what the hell happened, right? Because it's hilarious, and I'm sure you guys have probably all heard about this. But, this is for the, because we're 2 days late. But what the hell? Let's talk about what actually happened. So, Andrew Tate, as we just said, is a right-wing influencer, right? He gets his rocks off. He, his business model at this point is to basically piss off liberals, and then that's how he makes money, right? He pisses off liberals, and then that gets all of his followers fucking, hot and bothered, and then they like pull out a picture of him and jizz on his face or whatever, masturbate about how like over like how much he owned the libs and shit. That's what he does, right? And he decided that he was going to pick on Greta Thunberg. So Greta Thunberg, as you all know, is a young climate activist who started, I think, when she was like 15 or 16. She kind of became famous as like a young climate activist, in Europe, who went around and did speeches. She would do speeches and things like that in order to promote, you know, environmentalism and to stop climate change so that the human race doesn't go extinct. Right? That's Greta Thunberg. And all of the right wingers hate Greta Thunberg because not only is she a kid, but she consistently like owns them, right? And is famous and looks good doing it, and that's why they all hate Greta Thunberg. So let's turn on my monitor here. What happened exactly? So we have, there we go. Let's just make this a little bigger. Andrew Tate decided that he was going to mess with Greta Thunberg and he used this tweet right here. Hello at Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has a W16.08L quad turbo, whatever the fuck that is. My two Ferrari 812 Competizione have 6.5 liters at 12, whatever the fuck. This is just a start. Please provide your email address so I can send you a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions. And here's him putting gas in his ugly ass looking car. Why is it rich guys who buy these sports cars get them in the ugliest fucking colors? Like, what the fuck is this? Like gunmetal copper or some shit? Just get like a normal color, dude. White, black, red, blue. Right? What's with this orange, like fucking unpainted, like copper shit? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so here's him filling up his fucking ugly ass car. Right. Greta Thunberg, of course, replies with this. Yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. Destroyed this motherfucker. Okay, and if you look at here, look how many likes this has. This has 3.8 million likes. Like, just fucking, like, ruined his ass. Destroyed. Okay. Here's Andrew Tate. Wait, is that still the same? Is that Andrew Tate there? It is. Wow. I didn't see this one. So here's Andrew Tate. How dare you? Replying to Greta Thunberg. How dare you? Wow, I didn't even see that. I'm surprised that he. So here's the thing about this, right? She just like fucking like annihilated his ass super hard here. And apparently he got seriously offended. I didn't see this like pathetic little response here. How dare you? It's funny how he says how he's angry here, how he's screaming how dare you, when he was the one who started fucking with her in the first place. He's the one that wanted to like point out to her like, oh, look at me, I'm a polluter. Doesn't this make you mad? Why don't you cry more, lib? That's what he was trying to do. And then when she fucking like, punks his like tiny ass, because that's what he is, a punk, he got all seriously butthurt over it. So he replies with this, right? Let's see if we can find it. Let's go to Andrew Tate. Here's Andrew Tate here. He has to show his naked body and shit because he's totally not gay. And let's see. He replied. Let's go to tweets and replies. Right. And let's see. Where is the blah blah blah? He replied with this. Right. So here's his. So he is such a confident, man who lives outside the matrix. That's what he calls the other society where men are expected to act like human beings and not spoiled children. He calls that the matrix, right? And here's him, showing his big dick energy so much that this is his response to Greta Thunberg, like telling his ass to get a life and saying that he has a small dick.
Release some greenhouse gases. I'm obviously a stranger to online controversy. It's not something I often do. But now, the mainstream press is commenting on the fact that I was informing Greta that my very extensive car collection with internal combustion engines, which run on dead dinosaurs, have an enormous emission.
All right, first off, right off the bat, you can tell just by watching that this guy was sort of like he was one of the kids in junior high school who repeatedly got his head dunked into a fucking toilet on a regular basis, right? And instead of like most kids who do that, who learn to get self-confidence and stick up for themselves, he decided that he was going to become the bully. And probably by the time he left high school, he was probably bullying other kids. This is what that's my cheap non-professional armchair psychologist take on Andrew Tate is that he's a bully who learned bullied behavior because he probably had a very shitty, upbringing or whatever, right? And never really learned what it's like to actually enjoy anything. Because you just saw there, right? So he just, let's just see how that, because remember, he attacked her first. And now he's replying back. And he said, I don't get into internet controversy. He's lying to people, of course. Of course he does. I mean, I guess is that supposed to be funny? I think that was supposed to be a joke or whatever. Ha ha ha. Right. So just keep all this in mind. This is a response of a 36-year-old man to a 19-year-old girl who was minding her own business, who didn't have, it's not like she attacked his ass first or anything like that. Just minding her own business, and all she wants to do is save the environment and prevent human beings from dying out. Right? And he decided to attack her for that reason. Keep all this in mind, right? This is the response, because he tried to bully her, and she stuck up for herself. And not only stuck up for herself, did it in such a way that made him look like a total fucking chump. And this is his response. So let's keep that in mind while we're watching this. Going on, continuing.
Profile. And she replied by telling me her own email address. Greta's email address is, I have small dick energy. Why would that be your own email address, Greta? Strange. I mean, obviously I don't want to assume her gender. It's 50-50, but it is what it is. I'm not actually mad at Greta.
Oh my god. Okay. So he can't handle that. It's obviously a joke. He can't handle the fact that he got dunked on. So now he's trying to turn it around and claim that Greta Thunberg is trans? Is that what he's trying to say? Is he trying to say that she's really a man or whatever because she made a joke about how his dick is tiny? Which, maybe it is. I mean, he kind of, the guy kind of has little man syndrome, doesn't he? I mean, he's not short, is he? Like, you know what? Let's see. How tall is Andrew Tate? Let's look up how tall he is, right? Because that would explain a lot, too. Andrew Tate. He's 6'3", so the guy's not short, right? So why is he so, insecure? I mean, I don't know. That's fucking, it's hilarious. It's like he's trying to turn it around. He's trying to turn around the obvious fucking head dunking that she gave his ass. Right. Is what he's doing. So let's continue on.
It is what it is. I'm not actually mad at Greta.
Yes, he is. He's so angry. Look at the look on his face. He's so angry. Okay, let's make this. I don't want to make this full screen because I don't want, to get copyright struck or whatever. But yeah, he's obviously angry as fuck and lashing out like a little child. So, continuing.
Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled.
Ooh, make sure these boxes are not recycled. That will factor into this later. But see, here's the thing. Like, basically everything he's doing here is designed to piss off the libs, right? These are too big. We need to make some of these. These are too small. We need to make some of these bigger. You know, I mean, that was the whole point in the first place, was to piss off the lib. Oh, look how many cars I do. Look how much I pollute. Aren't you so angry? You know, now he's like, oh, let's not recycle the pizza boxes. Which, you know, you really shouldn't recycle pizza boxes because they got grease on them. You know, and you shouldn't be putting greasy shit into the recycle bin in the first place. But that's not the point. Point is, Andrew Tate is a fucking crybaby. Moving on.
So I'm actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the Matrix. She thinks she's doing good. Someone has sat her down and convinced her to try and convince you to beg your government.
All right. Once again, when he refers to the Matrix, which is funny because I always love how these red pillar assholes have, like, no imagination. But anyway, when he refers to the Matrix, he's referring to normal, ordinary human society where normal, ordinary people who are not super rich have to reside. And in normal, ordinary human society, men cannot get away with acting like spoiled children because if they do, they tend to not do well, you know? See, the reason why Andrew Tate can act the way he acts is because he's super rich. That's really the only reason he can act the way he acts. And if he was a normal chud like the rest of us, if he didn't have millions of dollars from fucking exploiting women and like, you know, and lonely guys out there the way that he does, more on that in a minute, then he would understand that no, you can't act that way towards ordinary people. He's been surrounding himself with ass kissers, the same way that every rich fucking person does. And here's the thing: I know this guy wasn't always rich. He is an example of someone who earned their money, but I mean, if you consider him actually earning it and not the women he exploited, you know. But I guess he didn't come from a super rich background. I guess he was like, you know, he wasn't born with a fucking South African fucking emerald mine or whatever in his back pocket. But at the same time, it's like, you know, most normal, ordinary people, if they act the way Andrew Tate does, it ends very badly for them. You know, why is that? Because when you're an asshole to people, people will be assholes to you, right? And this is kind of the big thing that like he sort of exploits. He has this persona that he's a giant asshole, and that's what makes him rich and successful. And it's like, well, it may have carried you so far, right? But being a giant asshole is not a recipe for success. Generally, it isn't, right? Maybe he's starting to learn that now because now he's sitting in a fucking jail cell, right? Anyway, moving on here. Let's continue on, right? So he's saying that the Matrix is programming you. You know what let's do? Let's do this. Let's go up here. Let's make this a little bit smaller, like that. And then that way we can full screen this guy. So you can get, because I don't want to like, you know, get struck. But if I just have him down in the corner, then the YouTube algorithm probably won't strike me. Let's continue.
And convinced her to try and convince you to beg your government to tax you into poverty to stop the sun from being hot.
Okay. Stop the sun from being hot. Got a lot to unwrap in that comment. First off, no government taxes anyone into poverty. That's bullshit. Okay. If you want to claim that a certain tax bracket or a certain type of tax is unfair, that's one thing. But there are no instances of that I can think of in the Western world where someone had all of their income just taxed away and couldn't survive. That's not a thing that happens. right? That's complete and total bullshit. Andrew Tate doesn't like taxes because he's rich, and then also because his constituents, his fan base, I guess I don't want to call them constituents because he's like elected to any office or anything. His fan base don't like taxes because they're conservatives. So whether or not whether or not that's sincere, I don't want to say. But the fact that, it doesn't surprise me at all, I guess is what I'm saying, that he would be anti tax, number one. Number two, it's not because the sun is hot, it's because the byproducts of human industrialization have resulted in greenhouse gases, which trap heat in. That's basic science. I don't expect conservatives and Republicans and the like to actually understand basic science because they never do, you know, ever. You know, the bookcase. I think we need to get rid of the bookcase. Or else we need to redraw the bookcase because it doesn't fit with everything else, right? It should be at an angle. Or it should be up against the back wall, wouldn't you say? So we're slowly getting this, folks. Yeah, I think we got to toss the bookcase here. We'll just cut that out and draw a new bookcase and put it back in there. I do like it. I do like the idea of putting a bookcase there, but let's just cut that. Oh, it has to be not there. It has to be here, right? And then let's see. Let's call this bookcase. Anyway, so yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the guy's a global warming denier. If you had to ask me, I probably would think that Andrew Tate doesn't give a fuck about global warming at all, and that it's just another way that he figured he could polish up his right wing influencer image by clowning on Greta Thunberg with, and it backfired. That's what I think. I think this is just another lie. I think the guy's lying. I think he doesn't give a fuck about global climate change, doesn't really give a fuck about any of that. And I think that he thought that Greta Thunberg would just be an easy target, that he could score some brownie points with the alt-right crowd with, and was not expecting to get body slammed super fucking hard and knocked out in the first round like a fucking pansy. That's what I think what really happened here. You know, I do believe that he doesn't understand how global climate change works because, look at this guy. He has probably never read a book in his entire fucking life. Moving on.
And then, because I called her out on it, the Global Matrix got this bot farm to like and retweet and all this bot commenting to try and pretend that her telling me that she has a small dick in her own email address somehow teaches me a lesson.
My God. He's so pissed. Look at his face. He's so angry. He's so fucking angry that his shit backfired. That his attempt to bully a 19-year-old girl who was minding her own business backfired super hard, and he looked like a chump. That's the weakness for these guys, right? Because here's the thing about this guy, right? All right, you know what? I'll talk about. Let's listen to the rest of this before I'll give some commentary at the rest of this, because I always end up doing this. I always end up talking for fucking 2 hours, and then we never get through the video. This literally has 20 seconds left on it, so let's just watch the last 20 seconds, and then I want to comment.
Welcome to a new episode of The Clown Show. But now I know, at least, that Greta, with her little hate-filled face, bitter, sitting somewhere without the heating on, in the cold, a little hat, shivering, views my tweets, which is going to make my Twitter account far more fun into eternity.
Okay. So that was bullshit. That was his pathetic attempt in order to turn around his failed fucking attack on Greta Thunberg, right? And, where he just got owned like a chump, She basically fucking teabagged his ass there, fucking noob, right? And just destroyed this motherfucker. That was his pathetic attempt to turn it around and make it look like he came out on top. Oh, I don't give a fuck. Oh, whatever. And here's the thing about this guy, right? Because that's the weakness when it comes to, because you would think, all right, right. Andrew Tate, if you think objectively about the guy's life, like let's set aside the human trafficking and rape allegations for now. Let's assume that he was just a rich guy, right? Probably has a pretty good life, wouldn't you say? He's got millions of dollars. He's tall. He's not bad looking. I'm not going to say the dude's ugly, although he does have some weird duck lip kind of thing going. And I don't know why the guy shaved his head. It's like, dude, why, you're 36, you're rich, get like fucking hair implants or whatever, right? Right? Like, but obviously probably doesn't have that bad of a life if you think about it. He's rich, he's got everything a guy could want, right? But it's not enough. He has to be famous as well, right? And he saw that his best way to fame is by being an asshole, by being a right wing social media influencer. And the way that right wing social media influencers make money is by being total fucking assholes. That's what they do, right? And, so now it didn't work. He tried it out. He looked like a fucking chump. He got, like, destroyed by a fucking teenager. A girl who's not legally old enough to even, like, drink just fucking destroyed his ass, made him look like. And the thing about it is, like, first off, it was a kid. Secondly, it was a girl, and not even like an adult. It was a small girl who like is 1 year out of high school, maybe. Made him like such a chump, and that's the death knell to these sort of MRM type guys, right? Because according to these dudes, they always have to be the alpha. They always have to be the guy on top, right? This is how they this is how you like make money and like get women to like want to fuck you, is that you make, you're the alpha guy, right? Men fear you and women drop their panties when you walk in the room, from your very presence or whatever. And that's sort of the mythology that he's like created around himself with his like legions of fucking followers, and he has tons of followers. Right? I'm not saying the guy's a nobody. He's not, he's not a nobody. He's actually pretty fucking like famous in right-wing circles, this dude, especially among children, which is disturbing. Like teenagers and shit really love Andrew Tate, which is like, very telling. And anyway, his carefully crafted mythology was fucking annihilated. Right? And he couldn't handle that. And it was the blow to his ego which undid him. He couldn't, if he just would have just sat back and said nothing, Andrew Tate wouldn't be in jail now. Because here's what happened. He makes this video. He brings out that pizza box, which he, like, very distinctly said they were not going to recycle. Even though, you shouldn't recycle pizza boxes, which shows that he doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about. And the story is, now this may be fake news, right? This may be unsubstantiated, because but the story is that the Romanian police saw that pizza box, saw that this is a Romanian pizza chain, and then saw that he was in the country, and then went and arrested him. Now that's unsubstantiated, right? The actual Romanian police have not said that's how they found the guy, right? Because apparently this dude has been like wanted for a little while. This investigation into human trafficking has been going on since at least April, right? And apparently that's a thing, but I mean, here's the thing: if he didn't make that video, he'd be a free man right now, right? He made this video. Something about this video, maybe they recognized the inside of his house. Maybe they, whatever. Maybe it was the pizza box. Maybe it was something else. But something about this video response that he made to Greta Thunberg alerted the police to his location, and 24 hours later, the cops were at his doorstep, bringing his ass in. Now, it turns out, because here's the thing, here's how Andrew Tate makes money, right? Let's get rid of this shit. Right. Oh, yeah, and then there was one more, um,
Releasing
one
greenhouse
more little
gases.
dunk here that Greta Thunberg had to, because and she dunked on his ass just one last time. Let's turn this on. I want to show this to you guys, right? Just to kind of rub it in a little bit. Here's Greta Thunberg. This is what happens when you don't recycle your pizza boxes. Oh, damn! Destroyed. Absolutely fucking destroyed. So yeah, Greta Thunberg just completely fucking annihilated this motherfucker. Ginny B, hey, how you doing? Raph, what's going on, man? Brutally honest. Thank you. What kind of art program do I use? I use Photoshop. Actually, this is an older version of Photoshop. This is actually Photoshop 6, which I've just been unwilling to get to the subscription because Photoshop is on a subscription model now, and it's like I really want to pay $30 a month just to draw. Like I don't know, maybe oh shit, wrong window. Maybe I should just so that it you know works better or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll quit being cheap and I'll pony up and get the latest Photoshop. I just have been avoiding it. Anyway, I'll read some comments here in a minute. So, yeah, because here's the thing about Andrew Tate. This is what Andrew Tate does, right? This is his business model. Okay. Actually, well, first let's talk a little bit about him, because like I said, he's famous in right-wing circles, right? And he's famous on TikTok, but normal, ordinary people like normies and shit probably don't know who this guy is because being internet famous is like not really famous. You know what I mean? It's famous enough. It's like, but most people probably haven't heard about him, right? So who the hell is Andrew Tate? Well, he started, like I said, as a kickboxer, and supposedly won a couple of bouts. I guess he wasn't a shitty kickboxer, right? Um, and then he decided. Then he went on a British um sort of reality show called what was the name of the show? Let's see. He was on Big Brother. Oh, really? Oh, fuck, I didn't know that. Yeah, so he was on Big Brother in 2016. And then there was this video of him beating a woman with a belt, right? Which you can easily find on Reddit. And it's some kind of like S&M domineering play, but when you watch it, he's like really, really violent, and apparently the woman has come out and said that this was just all consensual and it wasn't like any kind of abuse or anything. Well, I mean, could have fooled me. I'm not going to link to it because it's not safe for work. The woman is just wearing like, you know, lingerie and shit. And it's like this blonde lady who's actually pretty hot. And Andrew Tate just beats the fucking crap out of her with a belt and starts screaming shit like, he screams shit like if you ever text any other guys, I'll fucking kill you, shit like that. He starts saying shit like that, like really like kind of, and then you got thinking like, wow, this is like domineering like S&M play, like it doesn't really seem like it. Seems like this guy's taking his aggressions out on this woman, but she said it was consensual, but who knows if it really was. Maybe she was I mean, according to the allegations here, this guy fucking sex traffics people. Maybe she was threatened. You know what I mean? Like, anyway. So yeah, he did that, and then he basically made a bunch of like really homophobic and like sexist tweets right around that time, 2016, and got banned off Twitter. Apparently, he was banned from Twitter 3 times, and this last time just recently was let back on by Elon Musk. So that kind of shows you what Musk is doing for the world by letting people like Andrew Tate back onto his platform. Anyway, um, but he is, when I say internet famous, he is very, very, very internet famous. And the way he does that is that he has a lot of these sort of um, bot accounts, which is funny because in that video he said, "Oh, the bots came out and tried to convince me this and that." Like, didn't he say, because that's funny. Like, I want to comment on that a little. Like in that video he just said where like the bots came out and upvoted her post and all this other shit. It always has to be a conspiracy with guys like this. Whenever guys like this, um, and we're gonna put the bookcase back here, so I'm not gonna draw back there because I'm gonna actually draw a bookcase and then put it behind her. So, but with guys like this, it's always sort of like it's always a conspiracy, right? It's like, oh, normal, ordinary, free thinking people wouldn't like, yeah, they would obviously like align with him. They would obviously support him, right? So it must be the 2.3 million likes that she got must have come from bots. It must be a conspiracy. It must be the Illuminati or some shit. That's always fucking funny, right? So anyway, um, and the way this guy makes his money, right, is he has two businesses. So his first business is pornography, cam models specifically, and what that is basically you have these sort of like sites where you go and you pay a woman to strip for you and shit like that, right? And what he has is sort of private cam models that you do a Zoom call with, and then they do shit for you, and it costs you $4 a minute, right? That's his thing. And what they do apparently is sort of like they give a sob story mainly to customers in the UK, right? Is where they're based out of, where they were based out of. Now they're based out of Romania. And the models give a sob story to the guy who's on the other side, claiming that they need money for oh, they need money to help their sick child, or they need money to like I'm dreaming of going to school or shit like that. And they keep guys on and drain their bank accounts, right? Let's see. I want to fill this, and I don't want to do content aware. I want to do foreground color. There we go. Oh, shit. Okay, foreground color. Great. Then we need to make this, we need to make that multiply. There we go. Right. And that's his business model is basically first off exploiting women, right? For, porn here. And when I say exploiting them for porn, it's because it looks like a lot of these women were doing this against their will. And then also exploiting men, lonely men, right? And draining their bank accounts and, exploiting them and promising them shit that they'll never get, right? Oh. Cancel that. This needs to go here. Edit. Fill. Let's go to edit, fill, foreground color. There we go. Needs to go like that. Right. And that's what this guy admits to doing. He's basically a con artist, is what and he admits this. This is what he tells people that he does, right? We even have a video of him. There's a video of him explaining this to people, that this is his business model, right? And that all of the women that work for him were at one time his girlfriends, right? Now, what did he get in trouble for? Well, turns out that the women that were working for him may not have been doing this of their own free will, right? And he and his brother Tristan Tate, Tristan Tate, right, were running what they call Romeo scams on these women, right? And this is what a Romeo scam is. Basically, they would hit up women on social media, stuff like that, tell them who they were, and that they were super rich and they lived in a mansion and stuff and all this other thing. And, mainly they would be young girls, right? between the ages of like 18 to like, 22 or something like that. Because Andrew Tate has said that he preys on young women. He's actually said this himself. He says that he likes to date younger women, 18, 19, 20, because they're more impressionable at that age. And also, the secondary reason is because they've had less sex at that age, so they're less used up, which is fucking disgusting. Because also remember, this is an MRM kind of guy, like basically fucking incel, king of the incels, sort of like man's rights activist sort of dude. So all of the same shit that comes with men's rights activists, all the misogyny, that's this dude is like all over that. He proudly does this stuff on purpose in order to piss people off, right? So that's what he said that he does. He preys on young women, and they would sort of start an online relationship where they would message back and forth, and then maybe they'd show swapping nudes and shit like that, whatever. And they would convince these young girls to fly out to Romania and live with him in his giant fucking mansion because the guy's rich, right? The guy's fucking super rich. He got rich by exploiting women, right? So, young girls like this do it. They want to, they see a guy and he's not a bad looking dude. He's tall. He works out 7 times a day or whatever, right? Fucking ex kickboxer and everything. So, he's badass, And he's super rich and he's got all these fancy cars and all that. And they think that they're going to go live with this rich guy in this mansion and be taken care of and all this other shit. And then when they get there, he takes away their passports so they can't leave, right? And essentially holds them prisoner inside of his house, inside of his fucking giant mansion or whatever that he bought by exploiting women. And say, okay, you're going to work for me. You're going to be a cam girl. And if you don't do it, I'm going to beat the shit out of you and I'll murder your family. And so these young women are stuck there with no place to go, no way to get out. Even if they got out, they got no money. They don't have passports anymore. They can't escape, right? And they end up doing it. They end up working for this guy. And this is what he says he does. He said that he did that. He pimps girls out, right? That's his fucking job, right? So this is what happened, and it turned out that one of the girls that he was holding captive was an American citizen, right, who contacted an ex-boyfriend in the United States and pleaded for help, right? And then the American, like, ambassadors, contacted Romanian police back in April of 2022. This is months ago, right? Basically got this investigation started. And we knew that this investigation was going on. There are articles from 2022 saying that Andrew Tate is under investigation for human trafficking and rape charges, right? So it's been going on for a long time. So, I'm surprised that he decided to like move back there. He could, because here's the thing, he's super rich. He could flee the country. He could go anywhere he wants. He can come to the United States and they couldn't do shit to him here because, he didn't break any laws here and there's no evidence that he kidnapped anybody that police in the United States have access to, right? The investigation is in Romania. So it's like he could have gone anywhere and he'd be, he, I guess, apparently decided to return back to his business, probably figured that he was untouchable because he's rich. Who knows, right? Who knows what his reasoning is, but one reason or another, he decided to go back and fuck with Greta Thunberg, which led to his downfall. Anyway, so that's one part of his business there, is basically fucking kidnapping women, holding them under false pretenses, and then threatening them so that they perform sexual acts on film, in front of cameras, I guess, not on film, but on the internet for lonely guys that he fucking drains the bank accounts of. So, it's like, if you're gonna do that, can't you just be a normal smut peddler? Like here's the thing, right? If he just paid the women to do it, and and it was like legit, I'd have no problem with it. If he just hired, because here's the thing, right? hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of women out there who do pornography all around the world, right? And it's like, so there's no shortage of women willing to get naked on screen. If you just pay them, they'll do it. What's with all the kidnapping shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is he gotta like kidnap fucking young girls and hold them hostage? Crap like that. He could just be legit about it and make a shitload of money, and he would probably still be fucking rich, and he'd probably still be a pimp, and he'd probably still be able to go up and say all this fucking stupid shit that he says or whatever and get away with it, and he'd be legit with it. But no, he had to like exploit women, hold them fucking captive, and why? Because he's a fucking asshole. That's why. Because he's a violent asshole, right? Violent, misogynist asshole who doesn't respect anybody but himself, especially women. Here's the thing: if you're a pornographer, right, maybe you don't have the best, most uptight respect for women ever, but you treat them as actual human beings. You pay them, right? And the women in porn movies that are legit usually have a little bit of control as to what they will and will not do, right? Nobody's forcing them for the most part to engage in any sexual acts. That's how it should be, at least. That's how most of it works. Or I don't know. I don't even want to say most of it, but that's how a legit porn industry would be, right? Is that the woman gets to decide what she wants to do, and then when she does it, she gets paid for the things that she does, and that I wouldn't call that exploitation. It's a job. Sex work is real work, right? How come this guy just couldn't do ordinary normal sex work? How come he had to like keep people in fucking locked in rooms and threaten their families and shit like that? You know, because he's a misogynist piece of shit. With, like I said, yeah, that's why. That's the only. I mean, there's no benefit to not doing it the legit way. You know what I mean? He would make just as much fucking money doing it the legitimate way. I don't understand. Why did he decide to do it like this weird ass fucking criminal mafia method of like running this cam girl business? You know? The only explanation that I can think of as to why he would do that is because the guy actually believes what he says, and he really is a misogynist asshole who thinks women should be property. Because this is what Andrew Tate says. I'm going to list you some. This is some shit that Andrew Tate has actually said during all of his big long speeches, all of his like YouTube videos and all of the interviews that he's done on podcasts and shit like that. Here's an assortment of what Andrew Tate believes. Okay, he has said that women should be a man's property. Has claimed that women should not drive. Has said that women should not leave the home if they're in a relationship with a man. So if you're in a relationship with a man, you should just stay home, not go outside. I mean, I'm assuming he'd want you to go outside to do the shopping at the grocery store or some shit like that, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe that's too much freedom. Right. Says that, like I said before, claims to only date 18 and 19-year-old girls because it's easier to imprint on them and they have a lower body count, i.e., they've had sex with fewer men. Because for some reason, one thing that incels and fucking misogynists and MRA type guys, and MGTOW people, one thing they really can't handle, in general, manosphere douchebags and handle, really one thing they can't handle is the idea of a woman being in control of her own sexuality and deciding who and who she isn't going to have sex with. And also women actually enjoying sex. For some reason they can't handle that shit. They want a woman who's super hot and who has never had sex with anybody else. Right? But who is willing to have sex with them on the first date. Okay, don't forget that. They want a woman that will never fuck anybody but them and will do it immediately. Right? And will like get down on her knees and flate them at the drop of a hat. That's what they want. But they want her to never have done this with anybody else ever in her entire life. Only them. I don't understand how that works. I don't see how, why is that? What the fuck? Hang on. There's something wrong here. Oh, okay. That's just showing through. I just need to erase this like that. There we go. That was weird. I don't understand how that works. I never understood that. I never understood the desire for, like, virgins. Right? Doesn't make it, because you would think if your interest was in getting laid, then you would, like, want women to like to also have sex, wouldn't you say? If you were one of these manosphere pickup artist assholes, right, who, like, their entire existence was to, like, get their dick wet, then you would think you would like women who also like to have sex, right? Because wouldn't that mean that she would also want to have sex with you? Doesn't that seem to make sense? Seems to make sense with me, but no, that's not how it works in the manosphere. In the manosphere, a woman with a high body count and high N count, which is just another way of dehumanizing the woman, by the way, you know, that is something to be avoided. And I always love how they never talk about, like, well, how come men are allowed to sleep around like crazy but not women? That never makes any sense either. It's like, because you'd think that, wouldn't that be bad also? I mean, why is it that only women have to be virgins? But the man can go out and fuck everything that moves. The man can go have 16 mistresses and 27 girlfriends at the same time and all this other shit. Right. And that's good. That's what you want to happen. That's how it's supposed to be. But if a woman, just looks at another man the wrong way, then she's like a whore and should be thrown out in the street. I never understood how that shit worked either. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess I don't, because I actually try to respect people regardless of their biological sex, I guess. So maybe that's why it doesn't make sense to me. But it's just like, I don't understand that. Backwards as fuck, right? Anyway, this is all shit that he's actually. Oh, is it this? Damn, I'm looking for lighting. There it is. Okay. This is all shit that he's actually said. He said rape victims must bear responsibility for their attacks, which is another very, very common point among MRM types. Somehow it's the woman's fault if a man rapes them. I never understood that either. It's like, you know, why is it her fault that some guy decided to victimize her like that? What are they trying to say? Like, what? She had it coming for one reason or another? You know, there's never any logical explanation for that belief either, but that is a very common thing among men's rights types. He tweeted that depression isn't real. I don't know what's going on with that. I could very well believe that Andrew Tate suffers from depression because he seems like the kind of person that leaves an incredibly empty life, right? Here's another thing that he said, which I thought was interesting. One thing that Andrew Tate said, he said something to the effect that the reason why men, like what men care about most is respect. And that's the reason why men become CEOs. That's the reason why they collect expensive cars and drive expensive cars and all that is for the respect. And that's the reason why men do anything is for respect. And that to me shows a very, very, somebody who has a very, I guess, empty outlook on life. That says to me that this is someone who has basically nothing that they like, nothing that gives them pleasure, right? And has focused their life on gaining the approval of others. Because what is respect, really? When you talk about respect, respect is approval. That's ultimately what it is. When you think somebody doesn't respect you, when somebody treats you like shit, it's because they don't approve of you. That's what it is, right? Ultimately, And this is what every single person like Andrew Tate says. I don't give a fuck what people think of me. Yes, you do. You do. If you are buying fancy cars not because you like them, but because it gives you the respect of other men, if you are working out 7 times a day not because you want to be healthy and you want to look good, but because it makes other men fear you, then yes, you definitely do care about what other people think, right? I think this little Twitter exchange with Greta Thunberg actually shows that yes, he definitely gives a fuck what other people think, right? He, that's how he sort of built his entire life over how he appears towards other people, right? It's an extremely shallow and empty life. I collect toys, right? Does me collecting He-Man figures, I don't know if you guys have ever seen in my earlier videos, you can see a wall of toys behind me. I collect Masters of the Universe. I love Masters of the Universe. And like Godzilla and shit like that, right? Does me owning toys gain me any respect? No, it's mostly the opposite. Mostly when people would see my old videos, they'd make fun of me for having toys. And it's like, I don't give a fuck. I buy toys because I like them, because they bring me joy, you know? Because opening a new He-Man toy is awesome and it makes me feel like I'm 9 years old again. And that's really the reason why I buy them, because they're fucking great as hell, you know? And I don't give a fuck what other people care if they think I'm a overgrown man child because I collect fucking action figures. I don't give a fuck. Right? I could care less because it's not the reason why I do it. I don't work at my job so that I can have money so that other men will respect me. I don't give a fuck about any of that. You know, it just seems to be like the most, and if you think about it through that lens, the way Andrew Tate, you know, if you think of like through if you look at everything this guy says through that lens, then it makes sense. Then it's like, "Oh, it makes total sense now." He's extremely insecure. That's what it is. Andrew Tate is extremely insecure, you know. And it really makes me think that, like I said earlier in the stream, I think that he really was bullied as a child. I think that he probably in junior high school or grade school or something was like getting his ass beat and his lunch money stolen. And he decided the best way to make that stop was to be a giant piece of shit. That's what I think. Because it fits. It definitely fits. You know, someone who frames life through that lens, that I'm gonna like force other people to give me what I want because that means they respect me, and I'm gonna do it by being a giant asshole. It's like total fucking like narcissism. It's sort of it that's like this giant narcissistic asshole. Here's the thing: is that people do tend to like fall for shit like that, especially when you're rich and tall and super buff because fucking, you have the time to work out 27 times a day or whatever, and an ex kickboxer, people do fall for it, you know? It's like Andrew Tate is, you know what he is? He is, well, he's like a parody of masculinity. You know what I mean? Like when I was 17, that's what I thought being a man was. When I was 17, like I sat down and what do I want out of life? And I was like, oh, I want a girlfriend. I want a super hot girlfriend. I want an awesome car. I want to be rich and famous. Right. I want to be like super buff and like all this other stuff. And I want to learn karate so I can like kick people's asses. This is what seriously, I'm not kidding. When I was 17, this is like what I imagined being the perfect man would be like, you know. And that's sort of like, and that really, it's like the extreme, like adolescent view of masculinity. You know what I mean? Like all of that shit without any of the responsibility that, or any of the, of what it takes to earn those things or what they actually mean. What does it mean to be super rich? And how did you get that way? You know, etc., etc., right? That's what it is. And that's partially, I think, one of the reasons why so many teenagers are repeating this guy's shit, right? He's been viewed apparently on TikTok. Videos with Andrew Tate have been viewed around something like 11 billion times. So it's not like the guy's unpopular. And a large number of those views have come from teenagers, right? You know, normal, ordinary normie on the street probably doesn't know who Andrew Tate does, but go ask a 16-year-old kid. He knows who he is, right? Like, go ask people, I mean, as young as 12, go ask them. They know who Andrew Tate is. Okay, that's the disturbing fucking part. Let's read some comments here. We're at 12:30. Let's read a few comments, and then there's an actual video that I want to watch called "Andrew Tate Explains Why Men Should Never Get Married." But first, let's read some comments because I see we actually got a lot of people watching. Thank you guys all for joining. By the way, I really appreciate it. Um, so let's see here. We have wow, a lot of comments. In Shoma, how pathetic and insecure does someone have to be to not only have a petty fight with a little girl online, but also ruined his own criminal empire in doing so? Exactly. Exactly. So apparently, he got busted. Okay, so he got busted for human trafficking, right? Of 6 women so far in the article that I read. Excuse me. This was yesterday, so there might be more. So he's holding 6 women against their will, right? There's rape allegations, right, from some of these women. And then also they busted him for starting a criminal organization. Right. So apparently he's got like connections to the fucking Romanian mafia or something, which would make sense as well if he's making a shitload of money doing pornography. Kind of an untold secret for you guys if you didn't know this, but a lot of porn, especially in Eastern Europe, Russia, is funded by criminal elements, you know, mafia types, that kind of thing. They were one of the things that got pornography started after the fall of the Soviet Union was Russian mafia, right? And that has expanded into online porn. So, and it's kind of sad to see that, you know. But yeah, that's why like there's a lot of it. If you ever go on like Pornhub or something, a lot of the actresses are from Eastern Europe. A lot of them are from Russia, and this is why like there's a lot where they don't talk, you know, because most of the porn is consumed in the West, right? So that's kind of one of the the unsaid realities of pornography. There is kind of fucked up, you know. Now, whether these women are being exploited, whether they're like being held against their will or whatever, that's a different story. That's how it got started, though. That money is going, you know, funded by criminal organizations. Also, another thing, if you guys didn't know, a lot of the online porn, like those tube sites, you know, not so much Pornhub, but like the little knockoff tube sites, are also run by white supremacists. That's definitely a thing as well. Anyway, but yeah, getting back to your comment, Raf. Exactly. You know, if he just would have shut the fuck up, right, he would have been fine. It was his. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the fact that you know this little girl destroyed him, like the made him look like a total fucking chump, and it was ultimately his ego which undid him. Which you know is kind of a big weakness you see in a lot of rich people. You know, if you notice like rich narcissists who surround themselves with yes men, you know, tend to not be able to handle it when they're not always on top. You know what I mean? When they don't always come out on like that. That seems to be a problem that Elon Musk has. It's a problem that Donald Trump has. It's a very sort of common rich narcissistic thing there. So I don't know. Anyway, Jeannie B, how you doing, Jeannie B? I just discovered the existence of this Tate creature a couple of days before he got scooped up for his kidnapping cam pimp scheme. He acts like he's trapped in an 80s movie where he needs the cool car to get the hot chicks. Yes, yes, that is kind of a thing that a lot of like you see on MRM people in general. You know, like what I was saying. You know, I was saying before, like he's sort of like a parody of masculinity, right? It's like it's sort of like these guys think that being a man is like a rap music video. You know, like get a rap music video where the guy's like has like fucking 16 girls all just hanging off him, like wearing bikinis and shit everywhere they go, and like and he has like all this money and he's got like guns and all this. Like, I mean, and the thing is, I'm not even naming any particular rapper. It's just it's such like a cliche now that sort of like and that's toxic, like that toxic masculinity that comes with like rap music, right? It's sort of like people see that and they think that shit's real life. Right? They think this is this is awesome. This is what guys really should be like. This is what it should be. I want to be that dude in the rap music video with like 16 girlfriends and all kinds of money and like fucking, driving down and with my like convertible and you know, being a badass and shit. And it's like no, this is fantasy. That's what they don't get. This is not real life. Like it's a rap music video. It's an action movie. Like they want to be action movie stars in real life. And I'm not even kidding. Like a lot of, you have MRM stuff because this is another thing. Actually, I forgot to mention this. Okay. Forgot to mention this because the other business that Andrew Tate does is he has this thing called Hustlers University, which is essentially a fucking pickup artist studio is what it is. And he goes out and he gives bullshit advice on how you can get women to fall for you by being a total fucking asshole, right? And people, poor chumps, the same chumps that he exploits through his cam business, right? The same poor schmoes who are doling out $4 a minute to listen to his women talk about how they need money for college or whatever, when he should just be fucking paying them instead of like holding them captive. Those same fools, he's now fleecing them again for $300 a pop so that they can listen to his stupid bullshit and pretend that one day they're going to be just like him, which they never will be unless they, I don't know, start kidnapping some women themselves or whatever. Right. And that's, because that's ultimately what all this stuff is all about. It's all about making money. Right. And he doesn't, that's the thing, right? He doesn't give a fuck about men, you know? Like for being a man's rights activist, for being like a social media right wing guy, I'm giving you the secrets to. No, he doesn't give a fuck about men at all, right? He's using them, using them in order to make money, right? What is that little? Oh, there's a spot there, but I can't see where it is. I'm not going to worry about it for now, right? It's like he's exploiting everybody around him, and because it's men's rights activist stuff. They're not just it's not just women. It's like he's exploiting men too. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing about this is that he's so utterly blatant about it. Like he brags about this shit. The guy has tweets where he's like, "If I had your life, I'd kill myself." Like that kind of, that kind of thing. Like he's open about it, yet people still give this asshole money, and I can't understand like how pathetic does somebody have to be to see a guy like Andrew Tate and think if I gave him $300, my life will improve. How pathetic does your life have to be? You know, and that's a really big. The average um, MAGA supporter, right, makes less than $50,000 a year, is not a college graduate, right, is white, male. So that's what the average MAGA guy is. White, male, not rich, not well off at all, didn't go to school, doesn't have a lot of prospects open to him. That's your average MAGA supporter, right? They're exploiting people who basically got the short end of the stick. Now, there's lots, because here's the thing, there's lots of reasons why somebody didn't pursue higher education. There's lots of reasons why somebody doesn't make a lot of money, right? It's wrong to assume these people are losers because of their social economic strata. That's not, no, that's not true at all. You may just live someplace that has a lower economy. You know, maybe you couldn't afford to go to college. I know how that fucking was. I couldn't really afford to go to college, right? So it's wrong to assume these guys are just losers, right? You know, but instead of helping these people, they're exploiting them. That's your average like right wing person that ends up getting all radicalized and et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of overlap in these groups. You know what I mean? I mean, shit, Andrew Tate came out and supported Donald Trump too. Fucking grifters all the way down. That's all right wing. I mean, and I'm not saying that there's no such thing as left wing grifters, because there are. You know, Jimmy Dore comes to mind, but still, it's like you get what what you pay for, folks. I mean, if you really want to give this man $300, are you fucking serious? Anyway, moving on. Brutally honest. Thank you for joining. I've never seen you before. Thanks for joining, man. You should look a lot more at some of the Twitter responses. There are some really hilarious ones commenting. Yeah. Well, let's see what we got. Look at some of the Twitter responses, huh? Let's see. What do we got here? Do we have anything interesting? Let's take a few minutes and do that. Okay. Let's see here. Let me turn on my monitor again. Plus, I'll give my hand a minute to relax here. Twitter responses: Xander, 33 cars still can't get away. Okay, climate, you're setting great that much burning. Oh, that's a good one. As a climate activist, you weren't setting a great example by that much burning. Damn, that's burn. Very nice. Wow. Andrew Tate looks sort of like Charlie Brown here. Fuck around and find out. Okay, I could never, I always admire the power of memes in order to get to the core of a message here. His 34th car, damn. Well, okay. What is this? Replying to Greta Thunberg. Stop, he's already dead. Damn. I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for that meddling kid. And her dog too, huh? I'm going to have to look through these later. That actually looks... thank you for that. We will take some time. I'm going to take some time later and look through a bunch of those. Anyway, yeah, that's funny shit. Let's see, what else we got here? We have private dating chat girls. Remove. What else? Andrew Tate has only interest for and cares about Andrew Tate, of course. He looks like Alfred E. Newman screwed the Planters peanut guy. So there's rumors going around that Andrew Tate's gay. I don't think the guy's gay. I wouldn't put it past him to be in denial, I don't think the guy's gay. I think the guy, what he is insecure. Like, super insecure. Because he has sort of like a goofy face. Like, and I think he's overcompensating a lot for his goofy ass face and his big goofy fucking ears. And like, all of that shit. And I think he's like super like compensating for like being picked on as a kid, And I think he's a giant narcissist too. I think the guy has no pleasure at all in his life. I think nothing makes him happy. That's also another thing that you find with men, like with people. You find this a lot with like ex-male porn stars. Like they tend to have very empty lives because one thing that brings meaning into your life is partnership. That's the reason why men get married. If anybody has not figured out, it's for the companionship because being alone sucks. And as much as you don't want to admit it, we all need a little bit of companionship, right? Whether that is, and if it can just be a sexual partner, that's even better. Because we all need sex as well. Sex is a human need. I think so, at least. This is why I think things like brothels and shit should be like 100% legal. Because, it can fulfill a need for people. You gotta get that release. And, there's only so many times that you can, looking at websites and shit before that shit gets old, right? And I see absolutely nothing wrong with sex work at all. I think sex work should be 100% legal. I think it should be regulated so that we don't get situations like what happened with Andrew Tate, so that the workers, the women who do it, are not being exploited, right? I think it should be heavily regulated to make sure that doesn't happen. But it should be legal. At least I think so, right? But anyway, getting back to as to why men get married, because that kind of parlays us into what I want to look at here next. This is a video of Andrew Tate
You know the story
explaining
told about.
why men should never get married. This is only 7 minutes. Let's see if we can actually get through the entire thing. I'll try not to talk every 2.5 seconds here. But let's see. Let's turn on this. Let's make this small so that, God damn it, so that the YouTube gods don't destroy me. You know what? Can I just lock that one? Let's see. Yeah, let's just lock that. Okay, there we go. Let's put that right down here. And we can make this full screen. Okay, this is Valuetainment. What's the name of this channel here? Valuetainment Money. So I've never heard of this channel at all. Hopefully they don't give me a content strike. But let's talk about, this is why Andrew Tate explains why men should never get married. Let's put a link to it down in the thing if you guys want to subject yourself to this guy's fucking poison. You can check it out there. And let's see, make that bigger. Let's see what they got to say.
One day you come home, your dad comes up to you and says, Andrew, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And he's out, right? Yeah. In the context of what happens when there's a conflict and we all react in 3 different ways: fight, flight, freeze. Yeah. In that context, your dad is flight. Yeah. He runs off and says, I don't want to deal with it. I'm out of here. I'm going to do my own thing. Okay. In America, a lot of that is happening right now, where it's a single parent household. Yeah. Kids are being raised without a mom and dad being there, and it's just one mom, mom trying to do both. And these boys, my mom couldn't tell me what to do once my parents got a divorce. Yeah. I'm a single mother raising me. I'm seeing my dad every other week. So it's not like he has direct influence to discipline me until I went into the military. Yeah.
Can you get to the point, please?
How much of that, like if you were to go back and think about, what if your dad didn't take the flight approach? What if your dad took the fight approach? What if your parents were together?
Oh, so Andrew Tate's dad bailed on him? Okay, well, that kind of explains a lot too. That maybe because he didn't have a proper male role model growing up. So then he just had to rely on rap music videos and shit like that. And older kids at school. Okay, well that explains all the misogyny. Let's continue on a little.
Would it have made a difference in you? And how do you view, the idea of fathers being there with mom and dad together, family nucleus? Because a lot of times, the marriage no longer has, the what it once had. Kids are better off being raised with a mom and dad. How do you process that yourself? Because you became successful not being in that environment.
Correct.
So do you see this as well? It depends. There's exceptions to the rule. How do you process it?
I think it's a fantastic environment, and I think in an idealistic world, that's the way it would be.
Well, wait. The interviewer there, when he said marriage doesn't have what it once had, what are you talking about? what did it once have? Like, I mean, I know he's trying to not set up a leading question here, but that's kind of a leading. That's sort of a leading question. Well, what do you mean marriage doesn't have what it once had? Well, what did it used to have that it doesn't have anymore? Right? Like, the fuck is he talking about? I don't know. Bit of a leading question. Let's move on.
I think the reason it's not happening today is that I don't think many men actually benefit from marriages or relationships anymore. And people are always going to have to require some degree of incentive. I think that we've set up the world now in a way.
Okay. Men don't benefit from marriages. How? Let's see if he actually explains what, because, you can't just say that, right? Because, I mean, I benefit from my marriage a lot. Financially, first off, my wife works, so she pays a lot of the bills and stuff, right? I benefit psychologically because my wife is there for me, when shit gets rough, whatever, she's there, right? And also, it's nice to have a companion. It's nice to have somebody to sit down and watch TV with, watch Star Trek and shit, or like whatever it is that we're watching after we eat. It's nice to have somebody to talk to. I mean, it's nice to have a friend because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the older you get, the harder it is to make friends, right? I mean, am I alone in that assessment? I mean, kind of seems like when I was a kid, all you had to do was just be the same size, and then that's how you became friends with somebody. When I was a kid, like there was a guy that just had the same name as me, and we became best friends because his name was also Mark. That's all it took. Not so much anymore as an adult, right? And do you want a lot of friends either? That's another thing. The older you get, the less you tend to give a fuck. And you're more likely to just be cool chilling by yourself, whatever. Like, I have no problem, like, for example, going out to a restaurant and eating by myself at a restaurant. I don't care. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's like, you know, I think that's just a thing that happens as you get older. You just become a little more cool with solitude, right? But being alone all the time sucks. So that's the number one benefit from actual marriage, beyond all of the homemaking stuff and family and all that shit. The number one benefit for men, at least I don't know if it's for women, but I can't speak for women. I can speak for my own lived experience as a man. My number one benefit is companionship. Beyond even beyond the sex, even beyond just being able to get laid on a regular basis, it's more important to have the companionship, right? At least I think so. I don't know. Am I wrong here? Like, why would that not? I guess that's not a benefit according to Andrew Tate. I guess Andrew Tate doesn't need companionship or something. I don't know. Let's listen to what he's got to say.
Where men are seen as worker droids. They're expected to go work all day, come home, clean up as well, share the cleaning with the woman, no meal prepared for them, not have any authority over the household, and just be a worker droid and be sad. And I don't think that men.
This is something else that I see a lot in MRM sort of men's rights circles and in incel circles too, is men in these sort of like men's rights people really, really, really don't like cooking. I never understood that shit. Like, first off, right, because you just saw what he just said right there. Men work all day, they come home, and they have to cook and clean, right? They have to share in the household responsibilities, right? I never understood that. I never understood why that was, like, supposed to be women's work. Why the woman is supposed to clean the fucking house and cook, right? Because it's your house. You bought the house. Did you not buy the house? Do you not own the fucking house? Yes, you live there. Then you should be responsible for keeping the shit clean. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your sex is. It doesn't matter if you have a dick and balls or a vagina or whatever the fuck you got hanging between your legs. What matters is it's your fucking house. You made the fucking mess. Clean it the fuck up. Right? I mean, am I wrong here? Like, why is that? Why does only the woman? Why is that only her responsibility too? You know, most people on Earth, right, in the country, most people, I want to say on Earth, but in the United States, right, because I can only talk to my own country. Most households are two-income households. You know, that the phenomenon of the woman staying home, cooking and cleaning and taking care of the babies and shit all day, like it was back in like fucking 1958 or whatever, that's gone. That's been gone for a long time. There's not, the majority of households in the United States are two income households. That means the woman is going out with a job, making money, pulling her own weight, right? Not because she wants to, not because it's better that way, not because of feminism, because she has to. Because in order to survive in this country, you have to have money. And most jobs out there don't pay enough for a one income household. They don't, right? Andrew Tate doesn't understand this because he's super fucking rich by exploiting women, right? And like, ripping people off with his dumbass fucking like, pickup artist bullshit. He's made millions of dollars. So, to him, I'll support the household. Most men aren't capable by themselves at whatever job they have of supporting the household by themselves, especially the fans of Andrew Tate, right? Young white men who make less than $50,000 a year, who'd never went to college. A lot of those guys aren't capable of supporting a household by themselves. Sorry. So I never understood that. I never, and it's like this you know what it is? You know what like men's rights shit is? It's like when you talk about somebody who sits back and cooks and cleans and serves you like they do, they're talking about their mothers. That's what they're talking about. It's like they don't want a wife. They don't want a girlfriend. They want their mom, who then they can also have sex with. That's what that is, right? When you're a little kid, that's what you think your mom does. You think your mom cooks and cleans and takes care of you, does nice things for you, shit like that. Supports you, loves you no matter what. Well, that's not a wife, right? Your wife is supposed to be your equal, not your subordinate. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. They don't want someone who's equal. They want someone who's like, they want like a biblical wife from like fucking the Old Testament shit. Right? Like, I don't know. Moving on. So, okay, so now he's pissed. Let's getting back to what you just said. He's pissed because a man works all day, comes home, and has to cook and clean, right? And his wife isn't serving him hand and foot. He's pissed at that. So let's see what else he's got to say.
Many people understand that men are intrinsically wired to desire respect amongst our peers and in our environments. This is why CEOs work so hard, because they get respect in their company. This is why
this is what I was mentioning earlier, because I don't know, I did watch this a little bit before. I didn't watch the whole thing here, but I did watch this a little bit before. So earlier when I said like, yeah, he thinks CEOs only work to get respect, this is what I was referencing right here. Just so you guys know. And it's a very, it tells me that he just has a very empty life. Because let's rewind that just a little bit, right? Just really think about what the guy's saying, right? Men only work, men only achieve in order to get respect, which is, in real life, respect is approval. What he's really saying is that men only are motivated by the approval of other men. Let's rewind that just a little bit more, right?
Those work so hard because they get respect in their company. This is why we all want so much money and fast cars and status and influence, because we're respected. Men desire respect like we desire oxygen. And if a man's coming home to a household where he doesn't feel any respect, he's not going to want to be there for very long. And I think the way you fix this is...
You got that? Picking up on what this guy's putting down? Just think about what it really means, right? Men desire approval like they desire oxygen. No, they don't. No, they don't. Insecure people desire approval. That's the same thing. See, if you're the CEO of a company and no one respects you, right? You know how you handle that? You fire people. You don't need people's respect as the CEO of a company. If you own the place, you don't need respect, right? You don't need approval, right? What you need is for the people to do what you fucking say because you're the boss, right? If you run a business and there's a guy and he's not doing what you say, what do? You discipline him. And if he still doesn't do what you say, because this is your business and you want to run it the way you want to run it, right? Because businesses are not democracies. Businesses are dictatorships by their very nature, right? So this is your business. You're running it how you want to run it, right? Let's say you hire a finance manager, right? He's doing a shitty job. You're telling him to do certain things. He's not doing it. What do? You fire his ass, right? That has nothing to do with approval at all. It has nothing to do with respect at all. It has to do with performance, right? A good boss gains respect from his employees by example and by showing that he's a good boss by making good judgments, right? That's how you don't gain respect from your employees by fear, right? Because if you make them fear you, they're gonna do a shitty job because they're gonna just want to please you all the fucking time, and they'll be afraid of telling you when shit goes south. If you want a good employee, right, is someone that a good boss rather. Let's put it that way. A good boss is someone that cultures an environment based on performance. And it doesn't matter if the guy that you hired is an asshole. It doesn't matter what his political ideals are, right? It doesn't matter if he's a big fucking douchebag. It doesn't matter if he goes home at night and puts on a fucking wolf suit and dances around smearing shrimp on his anus. It doesn't matter what he does in his personal life. It doesn't matter what his personality is, right? As long as that's not conflicting with as long as that's not making the work environment bad. What matters is his performance, right? So no, CEOs don't become CEOs in order to get respect or approval from anybody. They do it to make money. Right? The only people who act like that are super insecure people. Guys who go out and buy fucking a Ferrari because they turned 50 and they're old now. Guys who go out and learn fucking kung fu because they've been picked on their whole lives and they got little tiny dicks. Right? And they've been picked on all through high school and now they're going to be badasses when they grow up or whatever, right? That's what it really is. That's what he's really talking about. That's it. That's fucking, it's not, respect is something that's earned from people, It's not something that you can force on anyone. If you try to enforce respect, you try to force someone to respect you, they're not going to. That'll make it even worse. And especially when it comes to a partner, especially when it comes to someone you live with, a partner, whether that partner is sexual or not, a sexual partner or not. You try to enforce your will on people, try to make them love you, make them respect you. No. It's just going to make it even worse. It's going to push them away even more. You have to earn it. Right? I don't know. I just really thought that was a pretty big insight into this guy's character. And when you look at all of his actions framed through that lens of approval, that he is desiring approval from other people, it suddenly makes Andrew Tate make sense, I think. We still got 5 minutes. Let's watch a little more.
You need to understand that many men don't have an incentive to be in the house anymore. I think that it's actually would be quite easy for a woman. In fact, there's a couple women who even say this on YouTube.
What's that incentive to be in the house? What? Like having basically a slave that cooks and cleans for you and does everything you say and lets you make all the decisions, shit like that? Is that the incentive he's talking about here? Like, doesn't that seem like a very... It just seems like that's like a very stereotypical kind of like, you know... I don't know. It just seems like an extremely old-fashioned, stereotypical sort of way to look at a marriage. That the man runs the household. The man, the man gets to, he works all day. He comes home. He puts his feet up, and his wife cooks everything, makes him a drink before he goes to sleep. Shit like that, right? And he makes all the financial decisions. He gets to decide everything for the house, right? It's like a very fundamentalist, like, but not only that, it's like, was there ever a household like that you can think of, like ever? I mean, did that shit even really exist even in the 50s? Like, probably not. It just seems like this sort of idiotic stereotype that it would only work if the woman had no brain, if she was like a robot. Like a walking sex toy. Like, that's really the only way it would work. Like, if she was like C-3PO with boobs or something. Like an actual android. Like Data from Star Trek, except with tits. Like, that's the only way that shit would work. If the woman just had no desires, no ambition at all, no likes... If she only liked things that her husband liked and only wanted to do things that her husband did and left all decisions to him and just lived like some kind of fucking automaton, that's the only way that shit would work. Who would want a relationship like that? I mean, I like the fact that my wife has opinions and is smart and knows how to do things and wants to do stuff and, like, is not afraid to say the things that she likes and do the things that she wants. I like that. It's that's what a normal human being should be like. They should have wants and desires and likes and dislikes and opinions. Like, what's so bad about your wife having opinions? I mean, is this guy such a fucking, like, sheltered, insecure child that he can't handle the fact that the person he's fucking may actually want to do something that he doesn't like? I get this from all kinds of... It's not just him. It's like... This is like almost universal from MRM types. He's not the only one that is saying this shit. Like, they all say this. Let's watch a little more.
I can't remember their names, but it'd be quite easy for a woman to make a man really happy with super basic things. Just go up to your husband and say, hey, you know more about this. What do you think about this? That would make most men's world. And there's so many sexless marriages out there with men who work their ass off and they come home to a sexless marriage and kids who don't fucking even like them. If you were to just even ask him his question about some asinine bullshit, a lawnmower purchase, for example, he would feel so happy to feel like the man of the house. That's what men need. They need to feel like...
So that what he just described, somebody coming and asking for a man's opinion, says a lot too. I mean, has this guy never had anybody ask him what his opinion on something is? Because I don't know about you, but what he just described is a very common interaction that I have with not just my wife, but with other normal, ordinary people as well. Like, go up and you ask somebody who knows about stuff, what's your opinion on this? I mean, has he never had that before? Has nobody ever come up to Andrew Tate and said, hey, what's your opinion on this or that? Like, I mean, here's the thing. First off, it's not validating just to ask somebody to ask your opinion. My wife does this to me all the time, and so does my mother, and so does my friends, and so does people I work with. It's a normal thing. That's the first thing, right? So is this guy so fucking pathetic that all it takes for him to be happy is for somebody to acknowledge that he can think about stuff? Like, I don't fucking like that. God damn, right? I mean, or does he just think that? I mean, you know what it is? I think what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that feminism has warped relationships so much that the average man doesn't even have this amount of input in his own relationship, which is bullshit. That's the dumbest fucking thing. I mean, that's the only way that I can think that comment makes sense. And if that's what he's trying to say, that's the dumbest shit ever. Because even someone who's like a ultra riot girl man-hating feminist would never, like, would still ask someone's opinion on something, even if it was a man. You know what I mean? Like seriously, like even someone who doesn't want to have sex with you, that doesn't mean that they won't ask your opinion on something. Like, I don't know. I think that comment says a lot about Andrew Tate's, the inner motivations of Andrew Tate, who's a man who's just crying for attention and validation from anybody. Jeannie B, your mom's cool. Thank you. Thank you. My mom is cool. She actually moved in with me, my mother, because she was staying with my little sister in England for a bit, and now she's going to stay with me for a little while, and then she's going to go back to England. So she's here, which I don't know if you know. I actually moved. I got a new place, and well, I don't want to say where my place is, but it's much bigger than my old place, so we should hang out one of these days. Anyway, let's continue on.
Like, all this work I'm putting in, all this shit I'm going through, I'm respected for it. As soon as a man feels like he has no respect, that's the absolute end of a man's interest or a man's tolerance of a situation. I think that's the reason it's happening. I think I know a lot.
Okay, that's bullshit too. So first off, I can understand what he just said there. If I was in a relationship where I felt like I had zero input or respect, then yeah, I'd be a little pissed, right? But it's not that the dynamic isn't that easy. Number one, the reason what he's basically trying to say, I mean, it sounds to me what he's confusing respect with assertiveness. And is just basically like saying that, if a man just asserts himself more, he gains respect. And that's not it at all. And how someone treats you where they just have no respect for you whatsoever is that they just do whatever they want and they're not considerate of you, right? That's when someone has zero respect for you whatsoever, right? And then, yeah, if you're in that situation, you should leave, right? Most relationships are not like that. And if your relationship is like that, then yeah, you need to do something about that. Whether you get, counseling, whether you need to have a talk with your wife, whatever, whether you need to end it. But relationships don't get that way automatically, right? You would not enter a relationship that was like that, right? From the beginning. Am I wrong there? Nobody would purposely enter a relationship where one side treats them like shit. So how did it get that way? Well, like I said, respect is an earned thing. You have to earn respect. People tend to treat you the way that you treat them, right? Usually. Most normal, ordinary, well-adjusted people. I mean, yeah, we're not talking about narcissists and shit, because this is, you always encounter badly adjusted narcissists who will fucking take advantage of you. And in that case, you should bail. But if you had a normal relationship and it deteriorated like that, you need to ask your question, like, how did it become like this? Why is it that my wife doesn't respect me? Right. And work through that accordingly, But it's not just something that you can demand. You can't just demand respect. You can't just take it. You can't just And that's kind of what this dude advocates is just come home, be a giant asshole until everybody gives you what you want. That's not going to work, man. That's extremely bad relationship advice, I think. Let's continue on.
Men who completely love their wives. They love them with all their heart. They die for her. But he's just not respected in his house. He doesn't get to be the man of the house.
Is it on him or is it on her? Like, does he need to go earn it or is it on her to provide it?
It's a combination of both. I think it's certainly on him to earn it, but also the Matrix programming is counter to him. The Matrix programming is trying to tell him that he shouldn't be allowed to be the man of the house.
You notice how he didn't dwell on that. Oh, it's him to earn it, but no. It is on him to earn it. Right? It is in his, you know, you have to earn respect. I mean, unless the person you're with is like a narcissist or mean or whatever, there's always that possibility, but let's assume that isn't what's going on. You know, if your partner is not taking your desires into account when they make decisions, then you should probably think why that is. Right? But you notice what he just did right there, he deflected responsibility away from the man. Did you see that? Let's watch that one more time. That little bit, that little last 5 seconds, right?
It on her to provide it.
It's a combination of both. I think it's certainly on him to earn it, but also the Matrix programming is counter to him. The Matrix programming is trying to tell him that he shouldn't be allowed to be the man of the house. That he
See? This is what MRM types do as well. Right? It's not your fault your relationship sucks. It's not your fault you can't get any women. It's not your fault people treat you like shit. It's, you know, society. It's the Matrix when he says the Matrix, which is always so ridiculous because, you know, first off, the Matrix is like a movie, right? So these motherfuckers like have no fucking imagination that he just blatantly rips off a fucking movie. Secondly, the Matrix is all about, you know, the trans experience. If you guys didn't know, that's what it's really about. It's about Neo. It's symbolism for transgenderism essentially, because the directors of the Matrix are trans women. You know, so that's what it's really about. The red pill and the blue pill, those are hormone treatments. Neo, you know, you have like at the bottom, it's like Mr. Anderson. And he goes, my name is Neo. It's like Anderson is his dead name. Neo is his real name. You know, see what I mean? It's all, that's what Matrix is really all about, which is so funny because all of these misogynists and like right-wingers have latched on to that movie and its symbolism, and they just completely fucking don't understand the actual symbolism of that movie. I always thought that shit was funny. But yeah, anyway, getting back to Andrew Tate. Yeah, it's just, he just completely just like, no, it's not the man's fault. It's society's fault. The Matrix is telling you, which once again, when he says Matrix, he means normal, ordinary society. You know, the Matrix is telling you that you can't be the man, that you can't get respect. It's like, no, society isn't what, like, where did that come from? Is there a memo out there that says men can't get respect anymore? Is that a law that passed? Was there an email that got shot around? Flyers that got put up, anything? I didn't get anything. I didn't get an email. I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get a memo from anyone. Right? Nobody told me that I wasn't allowed to have respect anymore or be respected anymore. It's bullshit. It's deflective bullshit so that the people at home stroking their fucking cocks to this bald-headed asshole, you know, get their egos fucking, like, you know, boosted. Like, yeah, I'm a man, I deserve respect, like Andrew Tate says, because it's fucking such bullshit. Moving on.
You shouldn't be allowed to have any kind of authority in any regard. You shouldn't be allowed to be able to say what happens. The Matrix programming is saying the absolute opposite all the time. And if that's getting into your woman and you don't have that much influence, and that's getting into all your children, you don't have that much influence, now you're coming home to a household where everyone just thinks you're the dude who should just fucking work. You're just a worker droid. You're the slave.
You're the slave. You're the worker droid. You don't get to say what happens. Now you're starting to see a little bit there. You know, that's another thing, what he thinks respect is. He thinks respect means you get to call the shots. And it's like, well, no, that's not what it is at all. How come only the man gets to make decisions? How come only the man gets to say what happens every fucking night? How come only the man gets to say, okay, where we eat every night? What kind of we're gonna buy this or that, where we're gonna live? How come the other people in the house who live there don't also get a say in those decisions? Every night I don't just get to say, hey, we're going to go eat at this restaurant, or hey, we're going to have burgers tonight, or hey, we're going to make me a steak. No, I don't get to say that. My wife also gets input as well, and we decide together what we're going to do. When we go to the store, we're going to buy something. We're going to buy a space heater, right? We're going to buy a fucking, I don't know, deep fryer or some shit, air fryer, whatever. I don't just decide this is the one we're getting. We're getting this one, bam, and it's mine. No, we make that decision together, right? And because that's what being in a relationship is. Being in a relationship means that you make decisions together. That's what a partner is. That's why they're called partners, right? But according to him, it's starting to come out here. You don't get to make those decisions. You're just the guy that works. You're a slave. So basically, not being the one in charge who everybody serves hand and foot means you're a slave. You see how it's sort of coming out? Like, all right, enough of this fucking guy. You can watch the rest of it if you want. But I'm going to turn it off for now. But you see what's happening, and here's the thing. Like I said before, it's not just Andrew Tate. It's like this is a very prevalent thing that you see through manosphere, through the entire manosphere, through the pickup artist guys, through the fucking MGTOW guys, men going their own way. That's MGTOW, right? Those guys are fucking stupid. Through like all of these, incel dudes and these black cell fucking people. One thing that's one theme that runs through all of them is that they have to be the guys in charge. And it's a misunderstanding of what respect actually means, of what a relationship is. Of what, like, and that's what a healthy relationship means. You give and you take. That's what relationship means. It doesn't mean that you just dominate everything, that you get to like make every fucking decision, that you get to like tell everybody, no, you're going to go to here, you're going to do this, you're going to go to that school, you're going to work at this place, you are not going to work at all, you're going to stay home and take care of the kids, and we're going to have sex when I feel like it, and you're going to do exactly what I say. And like, that's not a relationship. And who would want to live like that? Another thing that these guys tend to not be able to do is to put themselves into the shoes of their partner. Why doesn't she respect you? Well, maybe it's because you treat her like she's a fucking, like, object with no will of her own, who's only there to fucking cook and clean and obey you, and, and, like, cater to your every fucking desire, sexual or otherwise. Maybe that's why she doesn't respect you, because you're a fucking asshole. Maybe that's it. Am I wrong here? I don't know. Zatisha. Oh, hey, honey. You're actually watching this. That's my wife there, Zatisha. Thank you for joining. Andrew Tate. It's mommy's fault that daddy left, and if I just get enough money and fame and cars, and then daddy will come back. Yes, of course. So, let's read a few more comments and then we'll end this. But this is why, like, I mean, I have some videos from a few years back about manosphere guys, and it's one thing about it is that, they'll search you out if you say anything. So I'm suspecting that this stream, this video in the future is going to get a lot of negative comments, right? So please, if you are a subscriber to this shit, please tell me where I'm wrong. What did I get wrong through any of my assessment of this guy, because maybe, I don't know, maybe this is just me being a beta male taking the blue pill or whatever, right? But kind of seems to me like, yeah, this is Andrew Tate's got some serious fucking problems, man. Let's read some more comments here, and then we will go ahead and end this. Let's see. P. How you doing? Hats off to you, man. My New Year celebration started as soon as this news came up. Oh, thank you. Happy New Year. Brutally honest, Top G must be meaning goon or gimmick, gigolo, groupie, gore, or Grinch. Yeah, I think that's one of his nicknames, right? Top G for Andrew Andrew Tate. Let's see. And Shoma, maybe he stayed in Romania because he loves Jerry's Pizza that much. I think he just was there because he probably figured that nothing bad was going to happen to him. Because that's one thing that you get from rich narcissists, of course. You know, they think that they're above the law, and let's kind of be honest, there's a good chance that he's probably going to get away with it because he's rich. Because he's rich, and rich people, the law does not really apply to rich people the same way that it does to you or me. If me or you or anybody else who isn't rich tried to, sexually exploit women the same way that Andrew Tate was, we would have been in prison a long time ago. Let's just keep that in mind. And the fact that the dude's a multimillionaire is and famous is probably what kept him out of jail for so long. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm glad the guy got busted, but let's see what happens. I don't want to be popping the corks off the champagne yet, because there's a very good chance that he may actually get away with it. Let's see. Jeannie B. Men like him who describe this impossible woman as a goal are trying to convince the world that they actually desire women. The rumor is that this guy is queer as a $3 bill. And I would not be surprised if he actually was, I think he may, if he is, I think he may be in denial about it because he, can't handle the fact that he's gay, or if he actually is gay, he's definitely in the closet, and, he knows that if he were to come out as gay, that would ruin his, right-wing influencer career, Because that's all it takes. All it takes to ruin a right wing guy is for them to be gay. That's it. You remember Madison Cawthorn? He was the senator from, where the fuck was Madison Cawthorn from? I think he was from where the fuck is, let me see. Madison Cawthorn. ORN. He was from North Carolina. And, he said all kinds of bad shit, did all kinds of stupid things, right? Madison Cawthorn did all this stuff that would tank any normal politician's, career if we were living in the sane universe. But as soon as photos of him came out of him doing gay stuff, he was gone. And it's they don't care. That's the thing. When we were also talking about this guy Santos before, right-wing people, Republicans, conservatives, don't give a fuck about personal shortcomings at all. They don't really give a fuck about, people who are being lied to, none of that stuff. They don't give a shit about any of that, because they'll gladly overlook all of that in order to, exploit that person for political gain or whatever. But the one thing they can't overlook is being gay. That's it. If you're gay or whatever, look at, or even gay people who are conservative. Look at Milo Yiannopoulos, right? If you remember him, he was openly gay and they were mostly on board with him, and then he came out, he said some pro pedophilic content comments about how it was okay for a 13-year-old boy to have sex with an adult, stuff like that, and that ended him immediately. So if you overstep your bounds when it comes to right-wing morality, then they get rid of you. Which is kind of fucking ridiculous. It should be like, in any sane universe, you should be able to be in any relationship you want as long as it's like legally permissible. As long as you're not having sex with children or some shit like that. You should be allowed to do. It shouldn't matter what your sexual orientation is. What should matter is your policies, and that's not how it works. Like, conservatives and Republicans really do not give a shit about any policy that you may have. You know what I mean? Like, they literally only fucking care if you like conform to their like fucking like morality police. I don't know. More comments. Let's see. Genie B. Oh yes, he definitely gives all the fucks about what people think. Yes, he does for sure. Toys rule. The babe and man got me the Tina Turner for Xmas, and I love her. Oh, Tina Turner action figure? Shit. Right on. I might have to look that one up. Yes, my toy collection has taken a life of its own. It's even bigger than it used to be, because now I have more room in my new place, so I've got all the shit on display. Genie B. Comedian Tom Papa made a joke about how you don't marry hot, you marry strength. Someone who could pick the other end of the couch up without taking the cigarette out of her mouth. I have to admit that is sort of a kink of mine. Strong women who can like beat my ass is actually like one thing that I really like. So my wife is actually taller than me. I think it's incredibly sexy. Anyway, okay. Well, and I already read your... Okay, honey, I already read your comment. Is that you? Okay. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and end this. So you guys know my social medias and stuff like that. I actually I started a Discord. So any of you guys who want to join my Discord, I'll put the link after this thing publishes. I will put it down in the description. It'll be a 7-day link, so I still want to keep it a little small until... Oh, wait a minute. You guys are like totally looking at my desktop thing, aren't you? All right, let's close that. Was that on this whole time? Holy fuck, it was, wasn't it? Well, anyway, whatever. Now you got to see all the comments and all that. I still want to keep... Anyway, getting back to it. So I started a Discord. I still want to keep it a little small until... Because there's only like 10 people in it now. And if it gets bigger, then maybe I'll make it like, more public. But for now, it's still like a private Discord. But I will put the link down in the bottom so you guys can see it. And join if you want. And so far, it's been pretty cool. We've been like posting artwork and stuff. I've been posting links to my streams and any other, my friend Raph, we put his stream in there too. Anybody else who wants to join and post your stuff, promote your stuff, and talk about cool things, I will put that down there for you. Anyway, guys, this will be our last stream of the year, obviously, seeing how today is New Year's Eve. So everybody out there, have a safe and happy New Year. Drink a lot, have lots of fun, be merry. And I will see you all here next week. So, adios, everyone.